Your E Math O-Level is next week. You want to try a difficult but realistic paper. And in that case, I have just the paper for you. But would this be the perfect paper for a time practice? Find out in today's episode of PR. Alright, welcome back to another video. This is Outram from VANTAGE Tutor, a class above the rest. And for today's Prelim Paper review, it is for your up and coming O-Level E Math. And this paper is from 2024 Outram Secondary School E Math Paper 1 and Paper 2. Now before I begin, these are the questions that I feel are insightful and worth your time to try. And for students who like to try this paper, you are invited to join my Telegram channel where I've uploaded a short summary along with a download link on my blog. Have a go at it, let me know how you did. And in case you don't know by now, yes, I have started a tuition center near Boon Keng and SAJC. Trial classes have started, open classes have started. What are you waiting for? Link is in the bio. I'll see you there. This Prelim Paper review was specifically released only at this point in time, mainly to ramp up the difficulty just 1 week before your actual E Math O-Levels. Why? Find out via my 3 matrices. Number 1 relevance, number 2 insightfulness, number 3 difficulty, before I give an overall score and recommend to you the type of students who should try this paper. And of course, if I had a student who had to sit for this paper under exam condition, what would be a fair expectation of him from me in order for him to score an A in his actual O-Levels? Firstly, relevance. Upon first impression, most of the topics, most of the questions you expect to see are in there, and that's looking at it from afar. But if you look at it closer, a lot of the questions are twisted a bit, and without even solving them, you can see, you can sense that it is somewhat different from what you've seen in other prelim papers, if not your 10-year series. And that is not necessarily a bad thing, because if you have seen my previous prelim paper review about 2023 O-Level paper, there were quite a few surprises and therefore a lot of discussion on Reddit afterwards. But in terms of relevance, another thing that I like about this paper is that they did not just see what happened last year in the O-Level paper and then just try to replicate as many questions as possible or try to just modify parts of it and then put it in this Prelim paper. They have a clear goal in mind in terms of which questions they wanted to be different, how it was to be different, and that is one of the strengths of this paper. But then the overall vibe of it, if you really compare it down to the nitty-gritty of the similarity to an actual O-Level paper, this paper deviates from that, but in a good way. And hence, the relevance of this paper will be given a rather average 6 out of 10. Next, insightfulness. Generally, E Math papers, they are not too insightful. And by insightful, I don't mean that they have to be difficult. Some schools set questions that are way too difficult. Some schools take A Math concepts and put it into an E Math paper and then thinking that it's insights, but really it is not. In this paper though, they were able to keep the questions fair while modifying the questions in such a way that you have learning points to take away from this paper. This is clearly more creative than what you have seen previously. For most Prelim papers, you will feel that most of your insightful questions, most of your challenging questions come from the major topics, your shapes, your figures, your trigo. But in this paper, they included insights even for the algebra questions. Your typical factorization, your typical expansion and whatnot. It's packed with quite a lot of insights. And hence, because of how creative some of these questions are, because of the learning points that you could take away, the insightfulness will be given a rather high 9 out of 10. Next, difficulty. No doubt, this is going to be one of the more challenging paper. In fact, even if you're one of the better students, there are questions in here that you have to think a bit further. But at the same time, the questions here are not crazy difficult, meaning as long as you go with what you usually do in terms of how to solve a certain question, you will start to see the answer reveal itself. This is the kind of appropriate challenges you're looking for in the lead up to your O-Levels. You don't want questions that you can see right through them, you want questions that will make you at least write something, punch in the dark a bit before you start to see the answer. And there is really quite a lot of that, even in the usual simple questions like algebra, proportion, ratio, percentage, and your trigo and whatnot. Quite a few questions that will get you thinking because of its creativity, and I foresee for the weaker students who may not be so mathematically inclined, there could be some blanks here and there could be questions that leave you completely stumped, and that's perfectly fine in your lead up to your O-levels. These are the questions that you can learn from. These are the questions that you truly benefit from by practicing it, and hence the difficulty of this paper, you'll be given a rather high 8 out of 10. Overall, I really quite like this paper because really there are not too many E-Math papers out there that are creatively set, and there are not too many E-Math papers out there that just simply take from past 10 year series or other prelim papers. You tend to see repetition of questions in E-Math, especially when the schools try to keep it as relevant as it can be to the actual O-level. But in this paper, they were able to keep it somewhat relevant by twisting some questions, making it incredibly insightful and potentially very challenging for a small group of students. But for the majority of the population, this paper will just appear as one of the more difficult ones that is still going to feel like fair game to you, and hence the overall score of this paper will be given a sky high 9 out of 10. And if I had a student who had to sit for this paper under exam condition, a fair expectation of him would be 60% in order for him to score an A in his actual O-levels. Finally, who I recommend this paper to? Maybe not so much for the students who are clearly weak at E-Math. This is not the paper to try because it potentially can crush your confidence, especially if you're just looking to pass. But for every other student, even the slightly weaker ones who are aspiring to score an A1, by completing this paper with a decent score, it really can give you the confidence and the assurance that you can score an average grade at the very minimum. And hence, if you are a student who is looking to become above average, wanting to have an assurance that you can deal with potentially difficult E-Math papers, this paper will be for you. Alright, so we have come to the end of this prelim paper review of 2024 Outram Secondary School E-Math Paper 1 and Paper 2. Now if you like what I'm doing, follow me on TikTok, like my video, comment and share with your friends. I'm sure this will help them because ultimately I'm on my way to 10,000 followers. And for students who like to try this paper, you are invited to join my Telegram channel where I've uploaded a short summary along with a download link on my blog. Have a go at it, let me know how you did. And if you don't know by now, yes, I have a tuition center and it's near Boon King and SAJC. Trial classes are available, open classes are available, you know where to find them. Link is in the bio. I'll see you there, nothing else. This is Outram from VANTAGE Tutor, a class above the rest. Take care.